This video was recorded in front of a live virtual audience. Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Today we're going to be unboxing, talking about, reviewing and comparing a lot of things in one. Christian Dior's Dior Homme. The OG with the original and everything else that comes with it. It's an interesting ride. A lot of people are curious about Dior Homme. A lot of people on YouTube are making videos on Dior Homme. A lot of people who love perfumes love Dior Homme. And a lot of people are also, you know, constantly debating it. Usually men get more obsessed with these things than women do. Usually it's the men, it's the boys out there that go like reformulation and that batch code, this batch code. When men become obsessed about something, they go into the nitty gritty. And and nothing like Dior Homme to trigger that obsessive compulsive search for every single batch code out there and kind of dissecting each and every one of the batches and versions from to one to the other. So I'm here to bring you the OG version and the current formulation, and we're going to compare them and see how they work together or not. Before we get to it, if you like my channel and my content but haven't yet, subscribe now. Push the subscription button. You can also push the join button next to the subscription button and become a member today and gain access to special perks. You can also join me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together on Patreon, and also there become a patron and gain access to extra perks. Thank you to all my patrons and members who have already pledged. And thank you to all my co-chatters who are chatting now with me live, because this video is being filmed live. So I have my chats on the side here. We're going to be co-reviewing the perfume together. And don't forget, if you like this video, thumb it up. Thumb up this video and let the YouTube algorithm know that we're good for it. Okay, you guys. So it took a long time. It's really hard to get a hold of this thing, but here it is. Check it out, you guys. There it is. The box arrived like this. And then when we open it, it's an unboxing of sorts. I already opened it, but I just want to show you how nicely things are packaged. Now, since this is not a Maison Dior, you have seen me unbox Maison Dior perfumes. You have seen me unbox Eau Noire. It does come in a, in their Maison Dior box. It's a little bit more elegantly packaged because it comes with an actual little pillow, with a fluffy pillow to protect the contents of the box. You know how Chanel does shredded paper for their packaging when you order perfumes? It comes in shredded paper. And I never got that from Dior. I always got the pillows at Dior, which are really gorgeous. But I always ordered Maison Dior. Now that I ordered a regular Dior perfume, they're pulling a Chanel on us. Because look at on the side here. Shredded Dior paper. So, I would have preferred them to maintain that high class like with their Maison Dior fragrances, to do that also when they deliver the regular perfumes. But anyway, this is the package. And of course, there's a little envelope on top, which we're going to, I told you I always create my own quotes and I send them off to Dior or whenever I'm purchasing perfume for myself. And then it comes on their branded paper. You get your little Dior paper and then the quote is printed here. However, their Maison Dior quote papers are huge. You've seen me read from them and you could check them out. superdacob all spelled together is my Instagram profile. I have the other Dior, Maison Dior quote papers. They're like really gorgeous, embossed, etched, pressed. Like they have these dents in them. They're like amazing. And they center the text. These are more cheap. If you buy a regular Dior perfume, it's a little bit cheaper, the whole context. And they don't really center the text. So that's a little bit lame. But let's read the text together. All right, sorry you guys. Let me just, never dissect a perfume. Instead, let it in. Only then will it speak to you. Dacob. This is one of my quotes. And I particularly wanted to send this to myself as a reminder for Dior Homme, because most guys out there dissect Dior Homme to death. And then you never get to enjoy it because you're too busy thinking, does it smell more or less like something that was released 10 years ago? You dissect it to a point where you cannot find any more pleasure in this perfume. May this be a reminder to you, don't overanalyze things. Speaks the person who always does. But anyway, so let me just, I don't want to ruin the seal, so I'm sneaky. I just kind of lift it to the side and I pull it out there. This is, I already opened it by the way, but I just wanted to show you how it looks then. So we got Dior Homme Original, 100 ml. The logo sticker on top. I always open them at the bottom so I can preserve the sticker on top. This is now, I know, batch code moment. 0K03, which should be October of 2020, I think. Let me check. Yeah, it was produced in October of 2020. And here it is. I've been testing it out, working with it since a couple of days. So you see the Dior Homme and then the original. There, it's printed down there. So this is an October 2020 batch. Okay, this is the juice from the side, a little bit thicker. Juice from the front or from the back, other side. And what is fascinating to note, let me just also bring in my original with the silver little thing in there. Formulation of Dior Homme 50 ml. You see how they had the CD kind of lasered in there? It's still, it's upside down though. The CD in the new version is still the old school C and the old school D. Now, you know that Dior changed that to this, kind of merging the C and the D merge together into one. It's a totally different logo. This is their old school C and D, which I highly prefer to the new one. But nevertheless, when you lift the lid on the sprayer nozzle thing, they're actually using the new CD logo. So it's kind of a mix and match of both logos, which is a bit awkward. They should have maintained it all. One unity. How is it on the old one? There's absolutely no logo on the old one. This was way before they started doing the logos on the details and stuff, but we still have, this is an old sprayer in black. They changed these to silver later on. So, before we get to there's something more in here. The good thing about ordering, their perfumes, even if they're not Maison Dior, you still get to select the same type of freebies that go with your perfume. So let's get to see these. So it's as if I ordered a Maison Dior perfume. So you best believe I'm going to only ask them for samples of Maison Dior perfumes, right? So what's in this little tiny Dior pouch? They're very giving, much more giving than Chanel would be. Okay, for the big one, I opted for La Colle Noire. Or the big one. I mean, it's a tiny one, but it's one of their luxury samples. La Colle Noire, what is this? 7.5 ml. This is how it looks inside. Little miniature version of their bigger bottles. So we got La Colle Noire. And then they had a special presentation. They gave me one sample extra because of the launch of their new perfume. And what would that new perfume be? Tabacolor. Tobacco and color. Tabacolor. Tabacolor or Tabacolor? Or tobacco lure. Tabacolor. Tabacolor. It's hard to... Is it tobacco? Well, in French it would be tabacolor, no? Or tabacolor. It's really hard to... It's a beautiful... The way it's written, tabacolor is really cool, but pronouncing it is a mess. So they give you this one no matter what you order, like, hey, try out a new perfume. And then they let you choose two other small ones. I chose Tabacolor again because I have all the others already. So I have 2 times Tabacolor so I could really test it out, sniff it out, play with it. It's 2 ml sample, so Since I got 2, now I got 4. So with 4 ml, I get a really good feeling for this perfume and I can really test it out. And then the other one I got was Sakura. The other little scent, the 2 milliliter spray vial. So these are the freebies, like 4 little freebies from Dior. That's amazing with the perfume, right? Right. Okay. I'm going to spray on this hand the OG. Precious liquid. My God, it literally barfs on you. Look at the amount that just like comes out. It's like it pissed all over me. Okay, so we got that one. Oh, I also have, just so that you know, I am, I love my Dior. I have still a couple of drops left from my Dior Homme Intense. First release. This is the first batch. My God, look how brown it turned. It's like, see, it still has a little black stopper there. Also no logo on top here. And I have the first release. Where is it? Oh, it's here. The first edition when it came out, I bought it immediately because I know they reformulate everything, because we're crazy that way. So I have the pure perfume of Dior Homme as well in the collection. So, Dior Homme is very well represented in the fashion bunker. Like, check out this color though. It's like brown, okay? Gorgeous ambery color. So Dior Homme has its place in the fashion bunker, okay? It's, we know what we're talking about when we're talking about Dior Homme. I've been following it from its inception in 2005 to today. It's been a part of my life, so I know my Dior Homme. I'm going to spray the Dior Homme original formula here. Also 2 spritzes because we gave it 2 sprays there as well. Now let's see what all the fuss is about. Not many people on YouTube are touching base on the current formulation, whatever is present today on the market of Dior Homme Original or Dior Homme Original. Why? Because it's not available. It's as simple as that. It's still in production. As I said, batch code October 2020. However, Dior sells it only online. And they don't always make it available to every country. So it's kind of, you got to catch that moment when they free it up and then they close it up again. And you could only buy it on the Dior website and in some Dior boutiques. And that's it. There's no more distribution. Even though, funnily enough, on their website, they don't state that Dior Homme Original is an exclusive to the website. It's listed as a regular release perfume. All of their Maison Dior fragrances are listed as exclusivité, exclusive. But this one isn't, even though this is the rarest one. Because this one, you can't even get it in stores that sell Maison Dior perfumes. Even they can't sell this. So it's very, very rare. I'm kind of okay with it as long as they don't discontinue it. If they're going to produce way less quantities of it, if that means that the quality is going to get a bit better, I'm all for it. Limit the production. Sure, why not? But is it better? Is it not better? Mind you, this one is over 10 years old, over 15 years old. So it's dense, okay? It has its color. It turned from that yellowy, and it has kind of like a peachy color, like a rosy yellow color, because it has a lot of iris in there as well. But this one is more yellow for now. But this one will also change with time. Ooh, reflect that light, mama. This one will also change color. Give this 15 years, it's also going to obviously change color. So let's smell them. Of course, this one is more intense. But again, I repeat, it is also around 15 years old. So it has to be. After so much time has passed. But not one single part of this perfume is off. The top notes are incredible. None of it has gone stale. It's still amazing. Iris, iris, iris. This one is more subdued. It's a fresh batch. Give it 10 years. For now, however, the iris is a little bit more delicate. But I have been testing these two out. together these past days. So I can tell you already now that in the dry down, in terms of longevity, Dior Homme Original current formulation beats this one, the original. It lasts longer on the skin. It starts off a little bit more pungent in the opening, like here I am, a synthetic perfume. I mean, the other one is too. But it softens down with time and it lasts longer than the other one on the skin. Even though very subtle, it stays quite close to the skin. It's not a projection beast. But then again, on my skin, neither is the original. This is the original. Neither is the first edition. Let's just call it that way. Because how are you going to call it? This one is named original. They literally printed original on it. So the first edition is not a projection beast on my skin either. Original, also not a projection beast, but it lasts longer. It's toned down. So bizarre. Only in the opening. Only in the opening do I sense it being less irisy, perhaps. But again, I repeat, because it's not such an old bottle as the other one that I have. The first version has aged really well, like a well-aged wine. So it does have that quality now of a Maison Dior fragrance. It has that depth, you know. It smells like it could be a Maison Dior fragrance. But then again, so does this one. Let me get to the notes that I've written down here. So both of them, you know, the base for them, you know, the concept of this perfume, the nose behind this perfume is Olivier Polge. However, Demachy took that kind of name for himself. And so it's funny how they kind of, Demachy states that he made the Dior Homme Original. Girl, you didn't. But okay. So the 2005 version has top notes of lavender, sage, and bergamot. Same applies to the 2011, they call it. But I mean, I want to say 2019, 2018, 19. So basically, when Christian Dior announced, you know, when their new Dior Homme, super confusing. Dior has this tendency of confusing people like crazy. Just look at what they did with Lady Dior fragrance. What a mess. So when they started retweaking the concept of the name Dior Homme, and Demachy started working on the new Dior Homme perfume that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here, right? The plans started forming, and the plan was to discontinue this baby here. But somehow, I do not know if because people complained or people found out, or if the company thought, hey, why not keep milking the people from their money? Let's just get as much money as we can. Like, let them buy whatever they want to buy in a way. So this one was taken out of rotation and became isolated just to their website and only to certain countries. And this happened around 2018, 2019. And then 2020, officially, the new Dior Homme hit. The new Dior Homme has the Dior Homme logo there, and it's a totally different perfume. I mean, it smells different. I mean, I reviewed it on my channel. You can check out the review on my channel. Put it in the card section up here in the description box down below as well. Tragic perfume, really. But anyway, you could check out the review. So, as that one hit the stores, this one was taken out of circulation and exclusively, even though they don't state it's exclusive, placed on their website. So I wouldn't say that this is a reformulation from 2011 or 2012. This is, to me, a new version of Dior Homme. And since they call it original, it's kind of more like going back to the roots, to what it really used to be. And so I would call it the 2019 version more than the 2011 version. I would call this the 2019/2020 version. And People also always look at the formulation codes. I can tell you this one is number 12244/A. So that is number 12244/A. It's almost like, because the first version is so concentrated after so many years, there's almost a licorice-y type of quality to it. Almost like there's some licorice in there, which we don't have. In the new one. The new one is more fresh, it's more elevated, more light, it's more, it's more airy. And the first version just has that pissy zestiness to it, in addition to, to everything that we already have. Middle notes are iris, cocoa, amber, and cardamom in the 2005. In the original, middle notes are iris, cocoa, amber. Seems like they're not listing cardamom, which could still be in there. Base notes for the first version are leather, Tahitian, vetiver, and patchouli. Here we got also leather, vetiver, patchouli. It's the same thing. Are perhaps IFRA regulations now in place, so certain perhaps naturals are substituted with synthetics? That was already the case in 2005, you guys. However, Dior also did change suppliers, so certain ingredients might be copywritten by certain brands and certain other ingredients not. So perhaps, the iris can't be that iris, so they had to use that other iris, or this synthetic had to be used instead of that synthetic. So slight nuances in smell occur, but truth be told, the same happens from batch to batch. Even if the formulation is the same, if there's any sort of resemblance to anything natural in this perfume, depending on the harvest on that year, certain products might just contribute to creating an all-round, slightly different nuance to the smell than the year prior, or than the batch prior. This is the fascinating thing. This is the really fascinating thing that happens with this one. As time passes, right, when you first sprayed this on, it gives that burst of almost like aldehydes, but it's not. It's like I don't want to say acidic, because you're going to think that's bad. It's not bad. There's a pungent opening, which is gone immediately, and then it kind of just disappears. Then you have the feeling like, what the hell? This is like so weak. While this one keeps kind of soaring and hitting it really hard from the get-go. But now, after some time has passed, this one has settled into the skin, and now it's emanating that intensity, that insane intensity that this one had at the beginning. So you see, this one is catching up, and it's really delivering, really delivering. It's more faceted, more nuanced, it's more delicate. You have the feeling it's staying closer to the skin, but it tells a different variety of stories throughout its textured layer on the skin. The first version is still on that, I want to be an iris with a licorice subnote, like that type of dark intensity. Again, it's also the age of the bottle. Never forget that it's also the age of the bottle. This one doesn't have that age yet. It's still a young baby, but still, even if it's this young, it's still so intense. And now that it's going to get some oxygen, that I'll be using it, more, it's going to get deeper and even darker still. So this totally passes my personal, the Dacob test. Is it worth getting a full bottle? Yes, it's worth getting a full bottle of Dior Homme Original. It's worth it. If you love Dior Homme, get whatever Dior is selling at the moment. This stuff is amazing. It's really, really, really good. Sure, you could go crazy, keep hunting down the vintages, well, they're not vintage yet. It ain't 20 years old yet. Oh, is it though? No, not yet. Keep hunting them down. Keep spending crazy money. This is really good stuff, what they have on their website right now. I think they should make it more available. You shouldn't be just going crazy and kind of not even knowing that it exists. I mean, they're biting their own selves in their own tail here, Dior, because not a lot of people know that this one is still available. They go to their stores. The stores say, no, we only have that new ugly concoction that they have. And then people are like, oh, okay, well, then they don't have it anymore, you know? Not many people go online to the Dior website to then discover miraculously that this one still exists. So it's kind of like, almost like Dior is setting it up for failure, because if so many people stop buying it because they don't know it's only available there, then it might get discontinued because not enough people are purchasing it. Even though there's a huge market for this out there. So Dior is really not doing itself any favors. Or perhaps Dior just, since they released that ugly concoction, they kind of wanted to take this one off the more visible market for a certain period of time to allow for the other perfume to have its space, for them to see how the other one lives, how it works. Will it outsell this one long term? And then eventually they're thinking of bringing this one back to the stores as well, or perhaps phasing out the other one, which is really bland. What is also fascinating to note, how in this crazy world we live in where, a lot of people are interested in niche fragrances, niche perfumery. Niche is on the forefront. There's a lot of amazing, experimental, strong character fragrances out there, and there's a huge market for them. Isn't it fascinating, the paradox of it all, that at the same time, at the same reverse of the token, even though there's so much interest and need for intense, strong, characterful perfumes, and yet the mass release perfumes are the total opposite of that. Like, mass release fragrances are the most bland, boring, characterless, annoying, nauseously bland, really, really irritatingly annoying flankers of themselves, basically. Not even full-blown perfumes, but just like flankers of themselves. Like, it's crazy how niche is becoming the new perfume world. Niche is becoming the new mass world. And the mass release fragrances are being they make no sense anymore. They're like the most washed out thing there is. Isn't that a weird paradox? I find that an incredibly weird paradox. And then the good stuff that was good on the mass markets, like this thing, oh no, well, let's push that to the niche section. Really, Dior? What gives? This is not just Dior. All the other brands do it too. So, how this perfume smells though? It's so happy. First of all, it brings me back to, time when, me and studies and school and stuff. And this perfume just brings back so many joyous memories. And why I ultimately love this perfume so much is because even in the current state it's in, smelling it just brings me back. Smelling this one also they both bring me back, but it brings me back. It makes me smile, and it brings back all those crazy memories, partying. Well, I can't go too much into detail because but let's just say, like, you got to make it to class on a Monday and you're like, oh God, I can barely wait. You're a zombie on a Monday, still a zombie on Tuesday. By Wednesday, you've recovered. And this has been my kind of companion throughout that period, together with, of course, the mythological first three, Cologne Blanche, Eau Noire, and Bois d'Argent, which are still the loves of my life, together with, those were the three first niches of Dior, and this was their mass release counterpart. But in reality, to me, Eau Noire, Cologne Blanche, Bois d'Argent, and Dior Homme are the four. Those are like the cool four kids of Dior. Like, they're always going to be my four Diors that I'm going to take with me to my grave. Of my youth in particular, I do love Poison as well and Dior Addict, but those are all kind of a little bit prior to that special moment in time. Nothing like Dior Homme Bois d'Argent, Eau Noire, and Cologne Blanche, nothing like those four has defined the 2000s, the noughties. Nothing. They have really put a whole decade. They've put a smell to a decade. That entire decade smells of this. To me, no other perfume in the 2000s managed to define a decade in those 10 years like these four. Magical. Just magical. And they still uplift me. They still make me super happy in the current formulation as well as in the old formulation. The old formulation is a little bit sweeter. The new one is a little bit more sophisticated. It has a little bit more of an edge, perhaps. It's a little bit more tight. It's tightened up and it gives you a little bit more of that. It feels as if Dior Homme first release has grown up. It's been a bit wilder. And now it's a little bit more like it learned how to tweak itself to really refine, like in front of the camera, at a certain point, you're taking 100 selfies. If you're that type of person, if you're not, you're not. But if you're taking photos, you learn your angles. You learn that, well, maybe this position is not best for you. Maybe this position is better for you. Maybe this is your chocolate side. So with time, you also, maybe you learn that a certain jacket with certain shoulder pads doesn't suit you right. Maybe it's better to have something that has no shoulders on it. You tweak your style, you perfect it, and you keep evolving. And this is how I feel Dior Homme really evolved. Even though it's mesmerizingly beautiful in its first formulation, it's a delicate, slightly delicate tweak. It learned itself more. It has observed itself. It has learned itself. It has finally tweaked itself to bring itself to a point where it's like, okay, I am perfect as I can be for now. Of course, there's more growth to happen. There's more change, more evolution is going to happen. But in this stage in time, this one is so magical the way it is, you guys. Like, that's why I say, we began this video with this quote that I said, what did I write? I forgot even my own quote. I said, never dissect a perfume. Instead, let it in. Only then will it speak to you. And I literally wrote this for myself to not judge this one harshly, to analyze it with an open heart and try to understand, okay, what does it mean for me today, this perfume, and how does it smell to me today? It's an evolution. So don't be too obsessed with this concept of what batch code is it? What formulation is it? Yeah, but the batch code 50 is much better than the 20 and because but then the silver stem is missing. It's a black stem. It must be terrible because this one came out after 2011. Oh my God, it's a tragedy. 2010 is the last batch code I could get. Oh, but the 2014 was okay for like two batch codes in 2014 were really good. But like, don't go. You're gonna make yourself crazy. Don't go crazy. It ain't worth it to go crazy. Because you're never gonna enjoy the perfume if you keep hunting down what you don't have. You're never going to enjoy what you already have. Enjoy what is here now. That's all I'm saying. And this one has a lot of joy to give. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's a cocooning, warm embrace. It's like it's a type of perfume that you can really wear in the morning, in the evening, to lunch with friends, fancy dinner out, sexy date. You can wear it to work. I mean, depending what work you're doing, obviously, some works you can't wear any perfume at all, but it's a type of perfume that really is a companion. It followed me in the 2000s like crazy. It was all over the place. It was everywhere I was, it was there. So it's a companion, and it's a really, really good one. It's a trusty steed, or whatever they're called. It's like, I don't want to say it's like a dog. It's a weird kind of comparison, comparing a perfume to a dog. But to me it is, this is like my pet. Perfumes are like my pets. I love them so much. I take care of them. They take care of me. They never betray me. They're just like a dog. This one is going to stay faithful to the end. It's never going to be like, it's not going to bite you. It's going to stay faithful to you. And You could spray more if you want or less. This one is becoming stronger and stronger. And this is, you know, something to be said about iris and orris root. Because I believe there's a bit of orris root in here. I love how Sheldrake and also Jacques Paul speak about how they spoke, or how they still, well, how they spoke in this one interview that I saw about 28 La Pausa, which is a very orris root heavy fragrance, how they spoke about the orris root and the concept of the orris root in that perfume, which resonated always with me, and it does apply to this one as well. Interestingly enough, the son of Jacques created this one, and they said, you know, with orris root, what is so fascinating, and in particular how we implemented it in 28 La Pausa, orris root follows a very strange trajectory, which is the opposite of how you would imagine a flower to develop on skin. You spray a perfume and usually have the burst intense smell, and then it mellows with time. It dims down. It becomes more and more silent until it fades out. Orris root is the opposite. You spray it on, it has no smell, virtually. And then with your body chemistry, it heats up, stuff starts moving, and then with time it enhances, it grows, it gets more and more and more intense. It's an orris root, but it's connected to the iris. So it kind of, you envision it as if it blooms later on. That's what's happening with this one. As time passes, this one warms up on your skin and it gets more and more to that iris, which in the beginning was not that present. A lot of people judge this one. They spray it, sniff it once, they're like, it doesn't smell the same like the other one. I'm like, give it a minute. Let it warm up. See if the iris blooms. On me, it blooms incredibly. So it's one that tells you a story with time. You got to let it be. Wear it. Don't judge it first. Just give it a moment to talk to you, okay? Give it a time. Give it the right time it needs, and it's going to start talking to you. When it starts talking to you, you're going to fall in love, because the stories this one tells are perfection. So, guys, thank you so much for staying with me and watching. Stay tuned for tobacco color review as well, or first impressions. Well, we're going to talk about that too in another video. And if by the time you're watching this, I have made that video, link will be in the card section up here or in the description box down below for tobacco color. But meanwhile, you can definitely check out my pure perfume review of Christian Dior Pour Homme. And you can also check out my review of the new released, you know, the bad Dior Homme that has the Dior Homme written on the cap, or inside the cap. So let me get to your chats, you guys. Olfactive Story says, I'm looking for my bottle of Dior Homme Original. Oh, you have it, Olfactive Stories. What do you think about it? Yeah, Mr. Philip Fabulous says, don't over analyze, guys. Olfactive Story says, oh, I really enjoy La Colle Noire. I've not tried Tobacolor yet. Easy to pronounce in French. Tobacolor. Sakura was okay, but didn't wow me, says Olfactive Stories. Lucas says, I have a bottle of Sakura. Did you try it? Yes, I have actually already tried it. I have another sample of it. Olfactive Story says, I feel like I get a little more lavender than iris in my Dior Homme Original. Oh, you do? That's because you need to wait for it to warm up. Olfactive Story says, they're both beautiful still. Red Frag says, I have Dior Homme Eau de Toilette, batch code 7Z01 from 2017. I forgot to add O for men. Amelia says, oh no, I missed the perfume. Just came back from grocery store. I knew you were going to go have food. Oh yeah, Amelia says, I'm glad you like it. I must get a bottle. You definitely consider getting a bottle, because it's a delicate beauty. Really, really beautiful. Rada says, I appreciate the comparison because I'm not one that enjoys hunting for OG formulations. Yeah, it can be a really pain in the neck because you waste so much time and you get obsessive with it. Philip says, you have said it before. Yesterday's mainstream is today's niche. Well said, Mr. Philip Fabulous. Olfactive Story says, to be honest, I have a slight preference for the older one if I compare them on skin. But I'm sure it wouldn't make any difference if I was just wearing it and not comparing it. But of course, but also olfactive, you have to remember, as I said, the first edition, it aged like a fine wine. The same thing is going to happen to this one. The more we hold it and store it, and the more it's going to get that depth. And as I said, the heat of my skin lets the iris bloom. Red Frack says, I love my blue juice Dior Homme Eau. Nothing washed out about my Rajadav or Serjov. Oh, I don't even know how to pronounce that name. Factor Story says, yes, that 2020 version of Dior Homme is boring. Not bad, just boring. I'm sure they would have had less negative feedback if they had released it like a brand new perfume. I agree. It's like they had no ideas to give it another name. It's insane. Bois d'Argent doesn't work on my skin, says Olfactive Stories. This has happened to many people who have tested the eau de parfum, because the eau de parfum is not as well balanced as the cologne used to be. The cologne is a different animal altogether. It took me some time to get used to the eau de parfum as well. It's a bit aggressive. Thank you for subscribing, OL. It's a little bit aggressive, I have to say, and it's screechy. They have amped certain, because the switch from cologne to eau de parfum, that fragrance was intended to be an eau de cologne, not an eau de parfum, and they kind of pushed it to a place where certain ingredients just don't harmonize anymore when you overdose them. So they should tone it down, and then Bois d'Argent would become magical. Because I've heard quite a few people who also had the cologne before, they're like, I can't do the eau de parfum anymore. We stay fooling the girls as angles are key. We stay fooling the girl. Yes, angles and photos are always key, darling. Antigone says, I did not try it yet, but it gives me so much hope hearing that perfume formulations can be great too, standing for themselves, not being just a shadow of the original. I have had some amazing perfumes, reformulated perfumes. Biggest example I always mention is Lulu by Cacharel. I love, love, love the current formulation of Lulu. I prefer it to the original. Olfactive says, it's a total no-brainer for me. Olfactive says also, if I don't know what to wear, I know I will always smell good with that one. I also wear Iris Torrefié as a no-brainer. Candy Fluff says, lovely review, Dacob. Thank you, Candy. Angelica says, hi, Dacob. Could you talk about Boucheron pour Femme? Maybe we're going to get to that one as well in the future. Lovely review. The nostalgia, says Amina. Angelica says, I'm glad. Yeah, we love it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the review. I mean, it's not the classical type of Super Dacob review where I talk about a perfume and I just like go to places. I might make another video just dedicated to Dior Homme Original because it merits. But this video was very, very important for me to make because I've seen so much confusion online. So many people are asking desperately on websites and forums like, oh my God, how does the original smell? We can't get our hands on it. I can reassure you, it's great. It's really great. So this video was more like to reassure you and to give you a clean comparison between the two. It's slightly less irisy. The original is slightly less irisy than the first, but it blooms the iris with time. And this one smells more like orris root, and this one smells more like iris. I love my orris root. Truth be told, I'm a huge fan of Chanel's reformulated La Pausa. Love it to bits. That dry orris root in there is to die for. I smell a very similar note in here. So you could maybe say this. This is more orris root, this is more iris. But they're both iris. At the end of the day, what's the orris root but the root of the iris? So if you like this video, thumb it up, you guys. Give me a thumbs up and let the algorithm know that we're good for it. But also push the subscription button and join me on my Super Dacob YouTube channel. Now you can also push the join button next to the subscription button and become a member today and have your name scrolling here as the co-producer of the Fashion Bunker. You can also join me on Patreon. Super Dacob all spelled together on Patreon as well. When you join me on Patreon, you also get extra perks. Plus, your name is also listed as the co-producer of the Fashion Bunker. Plus, you get access to extra videos that never come to YouTube. Thank you to my chatters who have been chatting with me and co-reviewing the fragrance with me. And also thank you to all my patrons and members who have already pledged and subscribed and joined. The word is joined. So, as my quote states, ya guys, never dissect a perfume. Instead, let it in. Only then will it speak to you. Only now I realize this has a really sexual connotation as well. Oh well. Of course. We are in the Fashion Bunker after all, and we are talking about fragrances. There's nothing more sensual and sexual than perfumes. Really nothing. Oh, it's a lovely one, you guys. If you get a chance, Dior Homme Original. Make it your companion this year. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, never forget to never give up on love. Love you all. See you soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.